everybody, welcome to another video. My name is Infiniti and today I am here to show you guys how to knit the pod stitch, which I have on the wrong side right now. The pod stitch here. I love this stitch. It's a 12-row repeat and it looks super elegant and complicated, but it's actually not, okay? And as you guys may have noticed by now, it's kind of reversible. It looks nice on both sides. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into this tutorial. This stitch is also known as the Cocoon stitch. So it's one of those stitches that has multiple names, but it's the same design. Alright, for this stitch, you're going to want to cast on in multiples of 8 and then add an additional 1. I have already cast on 24 and an extra one, so 25 stitches in total for this swatch. Alright, so for row 1, we are going to slip the first stitch. Oops. And then you are going to knit 1, purl 1, knit 5, purl 1 to the end. So that is knit 1, purl 1, and then knit 5, and 5, and then we are going to purl 1. Alright, and then we're going to start again with a knit 1, purl 1, knit 5, and then purl 1. Alright, let's kind of snip this tail out of my way. Alright, knit 1. Purl 1, knit 5, and then we end the row on a purl 1. Alright, and that is row 1. For row 2, and turn our work, and we are going to slip 1, okay, and we are going to bring our yarn forward. We're going to purl 5, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. So we're going to purl 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, and then we are going to knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. Alright, and then we begin that again with a purl 5. Knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. Alright, and I'm going to do this repetition again for the last time in my project, but if you have a wider project, you'll repeat this to the end. So I'm going to and knit the last stitch. Alright. Okay, so that is the end of row 2. Now we are going to move on to row 3. Row 3 is special. Alright, so we are going to slip 1. Alright, this is going to be a little tricky here. We're going to make 1. So if you don't know how to make 1, you're going to pull the stitches apart and find that bar between the stitches, right? And you're going to go in there with your needle and yarn over. You're going to pull up a loop. Some people can do this with their left needle. I am not so lucky. You're going to put that loop on your left hand needle, and then you're going to knit that stitch. Alright, so you've made an additional stitch. Now in the next stitch, what you're going to do, you're going to knit 1, purl 1, knit 1 all around the same stitch. Alright, and I know that sounds complicated. So we're going to insert our needle. Knitwise, we're going to knit that stitch. Oops. Then we are going to bring the yarn forward, insert our needle into that same stitch. We are going to purl into that stitch. Alright, then we're going to bring the yarn back to the back, and we are going to knit in that same stitch for the last time. So you want to be really careful with your tension in this pattern so that you don't make your stitches impossible to work back into. Alright, now we make 1. Alright, and now we purl 1. Alright, this next part is a little tricky. We are going to purl 5 together. So we are going to insert our working needle into the next 5 stitches purlwise. So this might take a little wiggling, but there's 1, there's 2, there's 3. And there's 4 and there's 5. Alright, once you get all 5 of those stitches on to your right needle, you are going to purl. And take your time with this, because sometimes you don't get all 5 of those stitches on the first go. Alright, and once we've successfully purled those 5 stitches together, we're going to purl the next stitch. Alright, and now we're going to repeat this across row 3. So that is make 1, then we're going to knit, purl, knit into the next stitch, knit, purl, and knit all into the same stitch, And we're going to make another one. Okay, then I'm going to purl the next stitch. Then I'm going to purl 5 together. Alright, and then we are going to purl the last stitch. Alright, and you're going to continue this repeat all the way across your row. Alright, and now I'm at the last stitch of my row, and I'm just going to purl 1. So thankfully you only do this part of the repeat twice in the 12 rows. Alright, so now we are going to move on to row 4. As always, we will slip the first stitch. Slip it on off the needle, and the repeat for this row will be purl 1, knit 1, purl 5, knit 1. So pretty easy. Purl 1, knit 1, purl 5, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we're going to knit 1. Oops, come on off of that. Alright, and we are going to repeat that. So now we're going to again bring our yarn forward, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, I'm sorry, purl 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we're going to knit 1. Alright, and you're going to continue this all the way across row 4. And then I end on a knit stitch. Alright. So now we're on to row 5. This is what the work looks like so far. So essentially we've made half pods down here at the bottom. They look like shells. Very lovely edging, I guess, you know, at the bottom. But anyway, we are going to go ahead and move up to row 5. So row 5, we're going to slip the first stitch as normal. Alright, and now this repeat is knit 5, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1. So we are going to knit the first 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. are going to purl one, knit one, purl one. And purl one. I don't know about you guys, but I can really appreciate the math behind this stitch because everything lines up so evenly and it's very obvious. Alright, now what we're going to do is start that over. So knit 5, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1 until the end of the row. Alright, row 6. For row 6 we are going to repeat what we did in row 4. So that will be slipping a stitch. Okay, and then we're going to purl 1, knit 1, purl 5, knit 1. And knit 1. Oops. Alright. You can kind of see how the pods are forming here. Alright, so we're going to repeat that again. That is purl 1, knit 1, purl 5, knit 1, all the way across. And I'm on my last knit 1 here. Okay, so for row 7, we are going to repeat what we did for row 5. So what we did for row 5 was we slipped 1 stitch. Okay, and then we knit 5, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1. I'm doing my last purl, and then I'm going to end this row on a knit 1. Okay, and on to row 9. What we're going to do for row 9 is we are going to offset. We're going to start our next sequence of pods, but we're going to offset them. So instead of them being one on top of another, we'll have them kind of forming between the ones from the previous row. Alright, so for row 9, we're going to turn our work. And we are going to slip 1 stitch. Okay, and then we're going to bring the yarn forward because we're going to be purling 5 together. Again, so much fun. So we're going to do that. So working loosely with this pattern is so important because it makes it so much easier to purl these 5 together. Alright, just kind of scoop those through there. Alright, now that we've purled 5 together, we are going to keep the yarn forward and we are going to purl 1. Alright, then we're going to make 1 stitch. So again, that is working in these bars between the stitches here, our little ladders here. Some people do it with the left needle. I do it with the right needle because it's easier to scoop the stitch. But you run a yarn over, pull up a loop, place it on that left needle, and you're going to knit the stitch off of that needle. Alright, so we've made a stitch. In this next stitch, we're going to knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, all into that same stitch. So start with the yarn to the back. You're going to knit in that stitch. Going to bring the yarn forward so we can then insert the needle purlwise, purl that stitch. Going to bring the yarn back to the back, and we are going to knit in this stitch one last time. Alright. Now that we have done that, we are going to make another stitch. Again, you want to look at the little bars between your actual stitches here. We're going to go ahead and yarn over, insert our needle into that bar, yarn over, pull up a loop, put it on our left needle, then we're going to knit it off of our left needle. Right, and we've made one. Now we are going to purl one. And that is the repeat for our row. So essentially what we've done here is we've closed off this first pod at the top, and then we've started to make a new one between the first pod from the previous row and the second one from the previous row. So now we are going to start our repeat over. We are going to purl 5 together. Bring the yarn forward. Alright, I like to bring these stitches as close to the edge of the needle as possible without losing my stitches, and that also helps to make that purl 5 together a little less intense to work. Alright. Purled 5 together. Alright, now we're going to purl 1. We are going to make 1. We're going to knit, purl, knit into this next stitch. 3 stitches in 1. So we're going to knit, bring the yarn forward, going to purl into that stitch. We're going to put the working yarn back to the back, and we're going to insert our needle into that stitch one more time, and we are going to knit. And we're going to pull that stitch off the needle. Okay? Now we're going to make 1. Kind of pull those bars apart so it can work. Now we're going to purl 1. Okay. And you're going to repeat that process all the way across your pattern. Alright, and ending this row with a make 1 and then a purl 1. And that is row 9. Okay, now for row 10 we're going to repeat row 2. So row 2, we slipped 1. Okay, then we purl 5, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. So bring the yarn forward. We're going to purl 5. Alright, purl 5. Now we knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. Knit the next stitch, purl the next stitch, knit the next stitch. Alright, and we do that all the way across the row. Alright, and we end row 10 on a knit 1. Alright, and this is what our little pattern looks like so far. For row 11, we are going to repeat what we did all the way back at row 1. So let's get the yarn pulled out here. And for row 1, of course, we slipped the first stitch. And then we knit 1, purl 1, knit 5, purl 1, all the way across. Knit 5, and we're going to purl 1. Alright, Now we are on to row 12, aka the very last row of our repeat. And for row 12, we simply repeat row 2. So again, row 2 was slip 1, purl 5, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. Super easy. Purl 1, and we're going to knit the last stitch. Alright, so you can see where this, at this point in the pattern, this has completed a complete row of our pods here. And then we started another row. We're about midway of another row of pods. And so you would simply start over from row 1 all the way until you reach your desired length of your project, and the repeat should look something like this. I hope today's video was helpful for you guys. If so, don't forget to leave this video a thumbs up. It helps more people to see the content. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future knitting content. I typically post knitting tutorials on Wednesdays at 9:30 a.m. CST, so join the crafty community. Also, if you want to see some of my behind the scenes stuff along with my whips and project patterns and things like that, you can check me out on Instagram. I'm always over there. I'm also on Facebook and Pinterest and Telegram. You can also check out my blog site for other tips, tricks, tutorials, and pattern releases. And until next time, guys, happy making.